Optimism season is in full flow as we all get overly excited at the prospects for a big season ahead for our favorite teams. In July and August, every rookie looks like a future star, and every quarterback looks like, well, an MVP because it's the preseason. But trust me, they're probably not the MVP. So in today's video, we're going to go over the most overrated and most underrated quarterbacks in every single division. Now, of course, we have to kick the video off with one of the most polarizing quarterbacks in all of the NFL. Brock Purdy, who is my most overrated quarterback in the NFC West and probably the NFL in general, as the former Mr. Irrelevant has carved out a great career for himself after being the literal last pick of the 2022 NFL draft. But let's not get carried away. Kyle Shanahan has to be credited for doing a good chunk of the heavy lifting. And let's be honest, Brock Purdy isn't exactly going to take over a game and will a team to victory in the same way that Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson will. Yet somehow a $265 million contract makes him the 8th highest paid quarterback in the NFL, as if he would do that. The 2024 offseason was an absolute fiasco for Purdy and the Niners without CMC and Ayuk to call upon for help, confirming his status as more of a facilitator than a game changer. And trust me, he's not terrible, like he's not one of the bottom 5 quarterbacks. I just don't really think he's worth $50 million a year, truthfully. $33.5 million sounds much nicer, which is what the Seahawks are paying for Sam Darnold's services, who is my most underrated quarterback in the NFC West. Darnold spent much of last season in the MVP hunt, shocking everyone by taking the Vikings, who were predicted just 6.5 wins, to a 14-3 record. And yes, he was quality all year long, dishing out bombs and hitting small windows in Kevin O'Connell's elite offense, so I think that he should thrive with offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak in Seattle, ready to earn himself an even bigger lump of cash on this year's contract. Now in the NFC North though, I'm going to go with Caleb Williams as my most overrated quarterback. And yes, that might sound a little harsh given the situation he faced as a rookie, but this is a very talented division. He left a lot to be desired in 2024, even with the rough situation being taken into account. Williams held onto the ball way too long, was concerningly inaccurate, and his body language was awful. This is actually something that Ben Johnson has already raised with his younger quarterback. Add in the fact too that the 68 sacks taken by Caleb in 2024 is tied for the 3rd most taken in a single season. And yes, the offensive line does deserve plenty of blame, but Caleb is certainly guilty of contributing to the problem as well. His 3.03 average time to throw was the 6th highest among quarterbacks in the NFL, and not by design. He simply just wasn't understanding what the defense was giving him and wasn't trusting his receivers enough to target them with anticipation. Now, there is one caveat that, well, this season, this pick for who's the most overrated in the NFC North might completely just backfire as well. It's because Ben Johnson handpicked Caleb Williams to work with, basically. But who knows, a sophomore bounce back could be on the cards, but for now, he is going to be my most overrated pick for the NFC North. On the other hand though, my underrated quarterback is JJ McCarthy, another sophomore, but one who didn't play a single snap due to a season-ending knee injury in the preseason. McCarthy does get the benefit of working with another offensive genius in Kevin O'Connell and has the perfect skill set to fit in his scheme. O'Connell and the Vikings front office clearly felt comfortable enough moving on from Sam Darnold, who was quality last season, which in and of itself is an incredibly strong vote of confidence for the former Michigan alum. He was a winner in college, and truthfully, I think he's going to be a winner in the pros as well. Now in the NFC East, I'm going to go with Dak Prescott as my most overrated quarterback. And well, first, let's start with that contract. The $60 million Prescott earns each year is $5 million more than the next highest paid quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. Allen even signed his new deal this offseason, so you can't even use the excuse of Prescott simply being the latest to sign his deal. So what exactly has Dak Prescott done to earn all of this cash? Well, he has 3 Pro Bowls and a 2-5 record in the playoffs. I guess that's what you get for being the quarterback of America's team and having to deal with Jerry Jones all the time. Dak recently did claim he'd swap all of that cash for a Super Bowl win, saying I'd give the money I make to win and be broke. And that's all well and good, but truthfully, I'm not sure if I really believe him. After all, if you truly wanted a Super Bowl that badly, surely you would take a discount on your $60 million per year salary instead of watching Jerry struggle to pay the rest of your teammates. Now, the most underrated quarterback in the NFC East, and I don't know why a lot of people are going to hate this, has to be Jalen Hurts. The dude is criminally underappreciated as a leader of the most recent Super Bowl champions. And it's crazy too because Hurts was slandered all year long throughout the 2024 season, while the Eagles understandably leaned on the truly dominant Saquon Barkley. But here's a question: what did Jalen Hurts do when the pressure was on? The dude absolutely balled out is the answer, just like he did in the Super Bowl 3 years ago when losing to the Chiefs. He had 374 total yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions back then, and he was even better this time around. In the 2024 season's NFC Championship game, he completed 71% of his passes for 246 yards and 1 touchdown, while adding 3 on the ground before completing 77.3% of his passes for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl to go along with 72 yards on the ground. The dude is a truly ultimate big game player, and we can't have any more Jalen Hurts slander now that he is a Super Bowl champ. And this one might be a little bit controversial, but over in the NFC South, I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield as my most overrated quarterback. Again, much like Brock Purdy, the story, it's amazing, and he certainly is a good quarterback, but I don't think he's quite as good as everyone is making out. Again, just like Purdy, he has benefited from a fantastic cohort of talent around him and 2 elite offensive coordinators in Dave Canellis and Liam Cohen. Those 2 are just fantastic offensive architects and had guys streaming wide open for Baker, and I'm not sure all things are going to be quite as straightforward this season. Add in the fact too that he led the league with 13 fumbles and 16 interceptions in 2024, which doesn't make great for reading. As for my underrated quarterback though, I'm going to go with Bryce Young, another fantastic NFL story in the making. Young was counted out almost immediately, looking completely out of his depth as a rookie and in his first few games as a sophomore. Frankly, too, when Andy Dalton took over for him in 2024, I reckon the majority of people thought we might never see him start a game again because, truthfully, it was that bad. However, as luck would have it, another opportunity would arise for Bryce, and boy did he make the most of it. His 2,403 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions from 14 games as a sophomore actually could have been way more had his receivers not completely been hopeless at times. Xavier Legette alone deprived him of a potentially stunning game winner against the eventual champion Philadelphia Eagles, and was responsible for him having a completely unfair interception against the Saints. These 2 plays tell the story of a very frustrating season for Bryce Young, but with T-Mac coming in to take over the X-receiver spot, and therefore making everyone's life a lot easier, Bryce Young's trajectory as a starting quarterback is looking far more positive. Alright, so now we're going to flip to the AFC side, and well, we're going to drop a big one right now that's going to make some people mad. My most overrated quarterback in the AFC West is Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he is clearly on a path to being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but right now he's playing well below his usual level. His 79.1 PFF passing grade in 2024 ranked 11th best in the NFL among quarterbacks who played at least 200 snaps. Then his 3,928 yards marked the first time he ever failed to surpass 4,000 yards as a passer, as his Chiefs ranked 15th from a scoring perspective, averaging just 22.6 points per game. Not only that too, but his average depth of target was a measly 6.9, which ranks a shocking 38th amongst qualifying quarterbacks. So does that truly sound like top tier Mahomes that we are used to? And that's the thing, a lot of you are probably going to jump in the comments right now, but I'm not disputing the dude's legacy at all. But I am trying to at least make an argument that as of right now, he might be just a tad bit overrated. Hopefully things do turn around in 2025 with a presumably healthy cohort of offensive weapons, because the Mahomes who frequently tested defenses with deep shots was far more enjoyable to watch. At the other end of the spectrum in the AFC West, I'm going with Bo Nix as my underrated stud. He eased into the season brilliantly last season after Sean Payton adjusted the offense to suit his strengths, and I think more good things are going to come from him in 2025. His 3,775 yards and 29 touchdowns as a passer and 430 yards and 4 touchdowns as a rusher tell the story of a young quarterback who can impact the game in multiple ways, and I loved what I saw from him as a rookie. Now in the AFC East, I have Tua Tagovailoa as my most overrated quarterback in this division. First of all, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and it's his health. Obviously, I don't hold it against the guy for suffering such devastating concussions, and I truly would love to see him finish his career healthy, but the fact of the matter is that he's only played one full season. 2023 is the only time he has played more than 13 games. And yes, it was a good one with 4,624 yards and 29 touchdowns, but he had the help of a truly elite receiving core and still managed to throw 14 interceptions and still looked hopeless in the playoffs. Also, just to go back to, let's look at that 2023 campaign a little bit more in detail. In what was undoubtedly his best season ever, he lost to Buffalo twice, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Tennessee, and Baltimore, tossing a combined 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in those games. That's not good enough for a guy with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane at his disposal, and it's one of the main reasons he is my most overrated quarterback in the AFC East. My most underrated though is Drake May because boy, he was impressive to watch last season. Behind a terrible offensive line and with a shocking array of weapons to utilize, May looked like an absolute beast still. He injected life into a dull and toothless Patriots offense, elevating everyone while putting up 2,276 yards and 15 touchdowns through the air to go along with 421 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Everything points towards this guy being a true game changer as both a rusher and a passer, and I am completely here for it. Now moving on to the AFC North though, I think it's pretty easy to know who I'm going to pick here as my most overrated quarterback is hands down Aaron Rodgers. Truthfully, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, the answer to this question, is he truly going to be your saving grace? Are you really counting on Aaron Rodgers to be your saving grace? The man is going to be 42 this season and has already showed signs of being a completely different quarterback last year. And yes, he might still be able to read and manipulate the defense better than most, but his mobility and willingness to take a hit is essentially just gone. His 7.3 yard average depth of target last year was tied for 34th in the NFL among quarterbacks who took at least 200 snaps, and his 2.65 second time to throw ranked 30th. Rodgers is just simply nowhere near the level of quarterback he used to be, and I'm not sure I believe he's going to fit in with Arthur Smith's run-heavy and play-action-based offense. We know that Rodgers likes to play from the gun and call his own shots rather than turn his back to the defense, so it will be interesting to see how it all plays out, but for me, I just don't think it's going to be pretty. Now, from an underrated perspective, though, I'm going to go with Joe Burrow as my quarterback in this division. His 4,918 yards in 2024 led the league and went very nicely with his 43 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, earning him PFF's highest graded regular season passing grade of 92.9. Truthfully, had his defense not been completely hopeless, Burrow would have likely won the MVP award and would certainly have featured in the playoffs. As a result, I'm not sure people truly realize how special this guy was last season, making him my most underrated quarterback in that division. And now finally, we have the AFC South, where I'm going with Anthony Richardson as my most overrated quarterback. Among quarterbacks to play at least 200 snaps in 2024, Richardson's passer rating of 61.6 was comfortably the lowest. That's actually so bad that no other player ranked lower than 70. Unsurprisingly too, his 47.7% completion rate was also the lowest in the league in 2024, equating to just 1,800 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. It seems that people just can't quit on this guy because of his athletic profile, and yes, his touchdown in week 1 against the Texans was utterly outrageous, but you simply can't compete in the NFL if you're going to only complete 47% of your passes. Then when you add in his ability to stay healthy and the controversy surrounding him of tapping out of a game, then he goes down as easily the most overrated quarterback in this division. For underrated though, I have to go with Cam Ward. Has there ever been a more under-the-radar first overall pick? This guy has all the off-platform throws we love to see in the modern NFL. He can scramble a little bit and is dripping with confidence. He's got superstar status written all over him, which easily makes him my most underrated quarterback in the South.